welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we finally got it. We've been looking for it for at least a little bit, at least a month. Honestly, some people have been waiting a couple years at this point. We finally saw Kakko get traded. Do you want to break this down at all? What were your initial thoughts hearing the Kakko trade?
Well, first off, we'll set the scene here for everybody on the trade here. So yeah, the Rangers did trade Kakko, sending him to the Seattle Kraken in exchange for defenseman Will Borgen, along with a 2025 third-round pick and sixth-round pick. I mean, the Rangers lose. They lose this deal. I still remember actually when, because that was the 2019 draft. I still remember when Rangers fans were, because every team kind of does their own little. They set up their own little watch party for fans at their arenas. Every year, and I remember the Rangers one. I remember how rockin' MSG was when New Jersey picked Jack Hughes, because that meant that the Rangers were going to be able to select Kakko at second overall. And there was all this hype about how, I think he actually came in as the Calder favorite that year over Jack Hughes after he was dominating over in Finland. And, it was basically kind of Jack Hughes was probably going to have the better career, but Kakko was going to have the stronger rookie season because it was going to be easier for him to kind of, translate over to the NHL. Exactly. And it didn't work. It's partially, I don't think it's fair to say that it's all on the Rangers. I think there is a little bit of blame that can be put on Kakko for his production, but the Rangers really didn't utilize him properly. They didn't give him the opportunities that, maybe he could have had that could have helped him further along in his development. And we talked about with Wahlstrom, earlier in the week with the Islanders. Sometimes it just doesn't work. You just got to rip the Band-Aid off and move on. It's a very underwhelming return for a guy you drafted second overall, but he didn't have much value, really, when you're moving him. So
it's really weird because, everyone talks about this guy like he's so young. And don't get me wrong, he is. He's 23 years old right now. But everyone talks about him like a rookie. He is currently playing in his 6th NHL season.
Yeah.
He came into the league so young, and, a lot of people say he hasn't produced, and, he hasn't to the pedigree that we thought he would, but, 23 points in his rookie year, 17 the next in 48 games, 18 in 43, 40 points in 82. He's at 14 and 30 this year. So even this year with a healthy scratch in there, he's still at half a point per game. And that's, I'm pretty sure, on the third line, at least this year. I don't know about years past. But
yeah, I'm not. He's been kind of all over the place. It's usually been in that, third line, maybe second line here and there. But
yeah, and
really never got the opportunity with the Rangers. So,
but half a point per game on the third line is not that bad. And I definitely expect in Seattle he will be playing top 6 minutes. I think he's going to be a stud over there. I think it's going to, maybe it takes a season or two.
Well, what's the definition of a stud, though? What are we saying when we're saying he's going to be a stud?
At least 60 points and a great two-way player. Probably closer to 70, honestly. I think he's going to be great over there.
I think he's going to be, good, but he hasn't done anything to show that, he's capable of dropping 70.
I think he has. He came in and he put up points when he was really young, and he's clearly disgruntled. He's on a team that just won the President's Trophy, and he's sitting there asking out. He doesn't want to be there. Most guys are playing in New York, Madison Square Garden. This dude doesn't care. He's not getting the opportunity. So I think he's going to be happier elsewhere. He's going to get more chances elsewhere.
I think he's going to be happier with Seattle, but realistically, you're I mean, he's not going to be playing with as good of talent, I think, as he had with the Rangers, honestly. Despite how the Rangers have been struggling.
I think he plays with slightly better players, and I think he gets a lot more ice time.
I think he'll get more ice time.
I'd have to look at their depth. I'd have to look at their depth chart. I don't know about the Rangers' third line compared to the second line in Seattle. But
Rangers lines are kind of in a blender right now due to injuries, so like they're all over the place. So I'm not sure exactly what they were. You go back like a week and a half ago when you had Panarin and team was relatively healthy. I don't know what the lines are looking like.
But I can't imagine he was playing with, Panarin or guys of that high caliber too much over there.
I think he was playing with Filipino at least.
Filipino's not bad. But
I think he'll be fine with Seattle, but I haven't seen anything from Kakko to if he hits the 55, 60 but 70, I don't think that's
I don't know. He just
I don't see that happening, unfortunately.
There's been a lot of bad circumstance, and he had managed to put up 40 points in a season. And like
but that's on a good Rangers team.
I don't think that counts. I don't think he's given the opportunity. I think that helps out a guy like Panarin. I think if Panarin's playing top line minutes, he puts 120 points up in with the Rangers and 95 with the Kraken on the top line. But I don't think that's applicable when he's that far down the depth chart.
And Riley Smith was putting he was 15 points in 30 games playing on the third line. Might even been fourth line a bit with the Rangers. Yeah. If he's not a 70-point guy.
No,
anymore.
But I just watching Kakko play, I think he's very good. I think the Rangers are just horrendous at developing talent. I think the Alexei Lafreniere we're seeing this season, who is very good, I think we would have seen that 1, possibly 2 years earlier with at least 20 other teams in the league. I think they've really stunted his growth as well. And it looks like he's still going to reach his potential, but I think both these guys would be a lot further along if they had more chances. And I don't know much about the actual locker room of like the skills directors and all that stuff. I can't really speak on that, but I don't think they develop talent very well. And who knows if Seattle does? They're so new, it's hard to tell. But if they can over there, Kakko could be a great player for them.
I think he's going to be a good player, but I think we might just have a little bit different opinions on how good he is, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm not as high on him.
Yeah.
Just because again, just because he was a second overall pick. I mean,
there's a lot of good argument for both sides. What have you done for me lately? But also he's a second rounder. But also
you look at all the talent. But look at all the talent that the Rangers drafted high. They moved out when they were relatively the same age as Kakko, and nothing changed for the guy, right? Lias Anderson, Kravtsov, high draft picks. They moved out. They had fresh new opportunities at other teams, and I'm not even sure if either even playing in the NHL at this point. Actually,
I want to say Lias Anderson is still in the Kings system, but
I think Lias. No, I'm pretty sure Lias Anderson's long gone.
But yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's out of the league already. Yeah. I'll double check here.
It would be. I would love to know, if they got drafted by another team, would they still be in the NHL? Was it a foregone conclusion? Were they just not that guy? I have no.
Yeah, Lias Anderson. He's over in Switzerland now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I think they're both gone at this point. But yeah, we'll have to see what Kakko can do.
Obviously rooting for him, wishing him nothing but the best, and he'll definitely have a much better opportunity with Seattle, that's for sure.
Even if he's the same guy that he's been, this is still kind of a win for them. That's they're still getting a pretty good player, a half a point per game-ish player. who
And
plays
he
a
really
really
didn't
good
have to give up
two-way game.
anything
Yeah.
for
Well,
him.
you didn't have to give up much. I will say a lot of people are downplaying the fact that the Rangers got Will Borgen back. Now he's not a massive needle mover. He's not going to win him the cup, but he is a really good third pairing defenseman, a right side right-handed defenseman, and I was seeing some stats the other day. He has really good shot metrics for rebounds. Like, he doesn't score a lot of goals, but like apparently everything he puts on net just creates a shit ton of rebounds. Don't know if that's
But again, like for Seattle, you
yeah.
don't really need him.
No,
Like he was
absolutely not.
beyond expendable at this point. So
no, I've seen people say like the Rangers basically got rid of him for nothing. But like, I think this guy's at the very least going to play games for the Rangers.
yeah, but again, if you're trading
no,
a
it's
former
not a
second
trade.
overall pick and you're like, hey, we got a bottom pair defense, I'm like, yeah, like. But again, the Rangers had to do something, and obviously, if this is the deal they went with, it means this was the best deal they were offered. So you kind of just have to take it and move on. You really can't just delay the process because Kakko made it very clear he was unhappy there to the point where, not necessarily name dropping, but throwing teammates under the bus. Like, you just had to move on from him. It was, the locker room's already at an all-time low, and keeping Kakko around after his comments was only going to make things worse, right? So
yeah,
you just move on, you wipe your hands clean, and you try to figure out how you're going to turn it around for the Rangers in whatever way they decide to go. It had to start here, I think.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen to a better team, though. Couldn't happen to a better team, I must say.
Yeah, right. I was kind of hoping to see Kakko end up with Calgary a little bit, but I think he's going to be a great fit in Seattle. They've got a couple of guys.
I don't think Calgary needed him, really.
Matty Beniers, Shane Wright starting to break out this season, Kakko. If they can get all those guys to reach some potential that they've clearly seen before, that could be a nice squad.
Part of me actually does wonder if the Rangers didn't scratch Kakko and then Kakko doesn't come out and make those comments, if maybe they actually do get more for him. Right? Because I feel like, especially for a younger player to be kind of, again, not name dropping, but kind of throwing your teammates under the bus. Like, I wonder if
what comments did he make?
Basically, he just said, like, again, he didn't say names, but basically it was like, he felt like he didn't deserve to be scratched. He felt like there was other players who haven't been playing as good that should have been sitting in the press box instead of him, essentially. Yeah. I don't have the exact quote, but
yeah, which, to be fair, he's 100% correct.
But you don't say that. You don't say that, especially to the media, because again, like, you're not name dropping, but you're throwing, in the back, like, in his head, he's got guys that he's thinking of when he's saying that. Right. And so if you're a Calgary, if you're in Anaheim, if you're a San Jose, if you're, a team trying to, or well, maybe not Calgary, but a rebuilding team, if you bring Kakko in the organization and you healthy scratch him, like, what's his attitude going to be there? And, again, still a good player. I think he's going to work out fine with Seattle, but stuff like that does kind of tend to maybe kind of scare off some GMs and be like, you know what, he's a good player, but there could be maybe some issues that come along down the road, and we just don't even want to, risk that even.
I guess I see it more as a dig at like the GM. Like, he was saying, because
that's a coach's decision on who's
or the coach or whoever in management.
But just say I feel like I shouldn't be. Don't be like there's other guys that should be before me. But just be like, I felt like I was playing good enough that I didn't deserve to be.
I don't think he called out any of his teammates at all. And
not by name.
I think he's I think he's going, they hate young players in New York, and I want out because I'm a young player.
Why is Will Cooley not getting scratched? Lafreniere's not. Because they're
top of the lineup.
They're producing. Yeah, they're
producing
getting shit done on a nightly basis.
I mean, so is Kakko. He's playing a good two-way game. He's a +9 on a bad team, and he's got 14 points in 30 games. You can handle scratching a 40-point per season player.
Yeah, you need to send him a little bit of a message.
No, and he had just had a really good game. I want to say it was against Toronto or maybe Buffalo the night before. Like he was not
again.
He was 100% right in his comment, and
I would agree.
Maybe the way he said it comes across against weird to other teammates, but I really took it as they're just so incredibly about win now and about that veteran presence that they're going to scratch the wrong guy, and he doesn't want to pay for it.
Look at the way Kakko handled it compared to Taylor Hall when he was a healthy scratch. Right? Like if you've got a young player,
but Taylor Hall's going to make it back in.
But if you've got a young player like Kakko who's basically like, I shouldn't be a healthy scratch. Like I don't deserve this. Like there's just why am I being healthy scratched? I should it just doesn't send a good message. Like if I'm a GM of a team, after seeing that, I probably don't make a move for him just because you know what, he could end up being a good player, but why even run the risk of just potentially having anything just damage what you're already kind of building? Like I get it. I see why there would be teams that
I don't see it as a toxic
didn't put in an offer
at all.
I'm not saying toxic, but it's
avoiding bringing him onto your team for locker room reasons. I mean, whatever you want to call it. I just don't personally see it, but
and that's fair. Maybe it's because I've kind of witnessed, especially like the team I cheer for, San Jose. I've witnessed it kind of already happen before.
Is that with Vander Kane?
Yeah, like kind of seeing how it started out good, but then kind of seeing the downfall, and then even after he left, kind of hearing more stuff that came out. It's just like, it's just like fuck. At that point, like don't even run the risk of taking a flyer on a guy hoping that it works out, because just kind of witnessing what happened and kind of the fallout of it, and apparently how just destroyed that locker room kind of ended up being. It's just kind of like it's not even worth it at this point. Like especially for if Kakko is already an established top 6 beast, okay, maybe because he's so like young at this point, maybe, but for a solid middle sixer, it's probably just not worth it.
That's fair.
I think he's still going to be fine with Seattle. Like I'm not saying he's a bad dude or anything. I think he's going to be just fine in Seattle. I think Seattle's actually got some really underrated leaders in this league and good veteran presence. So I think Kakko will be I think he'll be just fine there. And I think it's like the perfect place actually for him to go.
Yeah. I think just over those 6 years in New York, it just really got to him over, he just keeps trying to push up into the roster, and you can't make any headway because they're a cup contending team. There's nowhere to go, right?
Yeah.
Unless you break out as a 70-point guy on the third line, he's not moving up. So
yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree with that. I think the Rangers got issues they got to work on. Like, just trade away all your draft picks, honestly. Yeah. Just trade your picks for established players, because first of all, you're not really a good team when it comes to drafting. And secondly, if you do end up drafting a good player, you kind of fucking ruin their development. So just trade away all your picks for established players, established prospects already. And actually, just stay away from prospects, honestly. Just go get established players and just keep doing that over and over.
Yeah. And that's been their MO for a long time. Just go out and get the players that are already good.
Yeah.
It's New York. You play in Madison Square Garden. You can just do that. But that Kakko trade was not the only big trade that we had yesterday. We also had Carrier went to Montreal in exchange for is it Will Carrier? Alex Carrier to Montreal in exchange for Justin Barron back to Nashville? This is a
So I mean,
weird one.
first of all, I got to imagine, Alex Carey is actually probably pretty pumped. He gets to go kind of back home, somewhat back home. He goes to Montreal. He is from Quebec City, so already lots of family in the area, kind of a homecoming for him. I'm sure he's pumped.
Gotta be.
Um,
I mean, getting away from that Nashville team is probably kind of nice as well.
yeah. So there's lots that we can jump into at this. Um, what's your opinion on it first? I'll kind of get your take on this one.
This is pretty rough for Nashville. Um, they're getting back Barron, who is good, but I don't know. It's just Carrier seems like he's just a better player. Like it's a weird 1-for-1 swap. Like I don't know much about either of them. I think Barron is a bit younger, right?
Yeah. So Carrier, he is 28, and Justin Barron 23.
Okay.
But here's the thing: Justin Barron was struggling to stay in the lineup for Montreal. That says a lot right there. Justin Barron on the season, 17 games played, 1 goal. That's it. Just the 1 goal. Has had some success in prior years with Montreal. Is a former first round pick. Carrier, kind of more of a defensive defenseman. They are both right-handed. So I guess the first part of it is, if you're Nashville, you're probably better off just trading Carrier when teams were after him at the deadline last season. I know you were making a playoff push, but you probably could have actually got a nice return for him, and then to sign him to a 3-year deal to bring him back just to flip him already is it's kind of a weird choice. Like I feel like you really lost out on some value that you could have gotten just trading him last season and moving on from him.
Yeah.
I think Barron could be solid. I think, he just needs to, maybe get put in the right situation. I think we've seen flashes of what he can do. Just wasn't going to work in Montreal, I think, especially with, Lane Hudson coming in and kind of taking over that blue line pretty quickly. It made Justin Barron very expendable, and, bringing in a solid kind of right-hand defenseman is exactly what Montreal needs. So I think Montreal really, I give them an A on that deal.
Yeah. I think this is really good for Montreal. I think it could be fine for Nashville. It's not quite the value you want back for Carrier, but
it's what Nashville
younger guy.
is doing that depends how this trade looks.
Exactly. And assuming that they are planning on going into a rebuild, a retool, whatever you want to call it.
I don't think they are.
Some type of getting younger.
I don't think they are.
Then I'd like this.
Because I just want to pull up how much Nashville saved. So Justin Barron is making 1.15 for this year and next year. Carrier 3.75. So about 2.5 mil, give or take, Nashville saving in this deal, which is nice because now they do have a little bit over 4 million in cap space. It has come out this morning because we are recording this on the Thursday, the 19th, December 19th, at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. I believe it's Eastern time. Is when the kind of NHL holiday freeze happens, where there's no trades, no waivers, like
you can't move guys.
No, yeah, like teams are on lock for over the course of the holidays.
No move.
Apparently, I don't know if it'll happen or not, but apparently Nashville is trying really, and we talked, and you mentioned it earlier this week. Nashville is trying really hard to secure Dylan Cousins before the freeze happens. So they're
Well, they
really
won him
trying to
before.
get it. They're really trying to get a deal done with Buffalo to get Dylan Cousins in by the end of today. And I think that is a lot easier now because they actually do have a lot more cap space that has opened up. And Barry Trotz has talked about how they're going to try and capitalize on taking. What did he exactly say? Barry Trotz on his newly acquired cap space. Don't be surprised if there's the right piece. I'm going to add it. And then reporter goes on to say that that sounds like that Barry Trotz is really trying to get Dylan Cousins by tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that'd be a great move for them. I think they're a team that has, quite frankly, too much veteran presence. Send some of that to the Buffalo, who definitely spent forever last episode talking about how much they need that veteran presence in Buffalo. Like they need veterans. These guys need young guys. Let's make a trade.
And now's the time for Nashville to make that move. If Cousins is the guy you want, if you're looking at Buffalo's kind of core guys that they're trying to build this core around, Dylan Cousins probably at this point honestly does have the least value out of their core guys. So, and it's probably the lowest his value's ever going to be. You know, because I think it's just kind of, he's not a bad, I think he's a very good player. I think it's just a little bit of a slump and also just bad situation in Buffalo. Like, if that's the guy you want, yeah, now's the time to probably try and capitalize and grab him when you can get him for maybe a little bit of a cheaper price, despite, you know, every team in the league knowing how desperate Nashville's getting at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that would be one of the best trades they could make at the moment.
Again, don't know if it's going to happen because obviously, if a deal was going to happen in any time soon, it would have to be today. So we'll keep
what do you think
an eye on
would
that
look like if it does happen? So say Buffalo is sending only Dylan Cousins to Nashville. What is Nashville sending back?
So Nashville would have to give up something to make the salary work. It'd have to be around 3. So maybe you're looking at doing a Gustav Nyquist in a first.
That was literally my thought.
I think Nyquist would have to be the guy because you'd have to move someone who's making $3 million or more. Nyquist is by like you're not moving Forsberg, you're not moving Stamkos, you're not moving Marchessault, you're not moving O'Reilly. Tommy Novak, you could, but like he is 8 years younger than Nyquist, and you've got Novak locked in for 3 years at 3.5, whereas Nyquist on the last year of his deal. You maybe might have to throw in a mid low level prospect. Whoever that is, I don't know. You could take your pick from the numerous ones that Nashville has, but it's probably somewhere around a first. Whether you do Tampa's first or Vegas's first, I think you're holding on to your own first round pick. Yeah. So whichever one of those picks, and then Nyquist in a kind of a B level prospect, maybe even a C prospect, and could get it done. Because again, I think Cousins is good, but the way he's playing right now, and the contract he's on, it doesn't look great. Again, I think for Cousins it's just a slump. Like, I think he'll turn it around. I don't know if he'll turn it around on Buffalo, to be honest with you. But I think you throw him on Nashville and you say,
hey, would he even turn around with Nashville? I mean, that's the one thing they can't do is score.
I don't know. I feel like you put Cousins with a Stamkos and a Tommy Novak, I think could be fun.
It's just insane looking at how many bona fide, like the established goal scorers, and they can't fucking put the puck in the net.
That's the thing, because
it's just so crazy.
Like, is it too many guys all trying to do it themselves? Maybe.
It really just, every time I've watched them, they just have no chemistry. Philip Forsberg and Roman Josi, every time they touch the ice together, there is clear chemistry. Their passes are crisp. They know where they're going to be. Nobody else knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they needed more time in the off season to figure this shit out. It really does just look like they were put together yesterday and told to go play a game.
Yeah. It honestly, it does, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, it just needs time, but I mean, that's the one thing this team doesn't have. All their best guys, 34 years old, 33, 33, 34. Like,
yeah.
I do think Cousins is a great step in the right direction for them, though. He's got an extension, right? So he signed long term.
Yeah.
So they'd have him for a while. He's young. He's good. Like, always adding more talent is good, but it being young is just a massive step in the right direction for this team. They don't have any really high-profile young players at the moment. Like, Zachary Leroux, he looks like he's going to be pretty good. He's 21. That's about it. They got some other guys that look good, but none at the level of Cousins, I don't think.
Yeah.
Eventually, Yuso Parson, he's going to be good, but they're not going to be massive needle movers the way that Cousins could be. Not that Cousins would, win a Conn Smythe on the way to a cup or anything, but he'd be a pretty solid piece.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes. I think you're looking at two teams that need a little bit of a shakeup, and obviously teams that aren't making a coaching change. So yeah, why not? I think it's perfect. I think Cousins is kind of exactly what maybe Nashville needs, kind of a younger player that can kind of inject some youth into what's a very older team. And then Buffalo, hey, they love stocking up first round picks to grab usually grab guys playing over in Europe, it seems, as of lately. And then you also get Nyquist, assuming it would be Nyquist, who, what were you saying? They need some veterans, they need some older guys. So
yeah,
I think that's a deal that could work out well for both sides. But yeah, we don't know if it's going to happen. We don't know. Again, they're like Nashville's at least trying hard to get it done today. We'll see if anything happens. And it wouldn't surprise me because, well, it just seems like it's a trade deadline right now in December. I can't remember last time I've seen this many deals in December.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't remember hardly any trades going on at this point in the season, let alone this amount of them, and like this high profile as well. Like, it's not groundbreaking, but Kakko got moved in December. That's pretty cool. So yeah. We'll see if anything comes out for the rest of today. But moving on from that, we got a couple other pieces here. I'll go through this one, and then you can talk about the World Juniors news. The Boston Bruins placed Tyler Johnson on unconditional waivers earlier today for the purpose of contract termination. That basically means it was a mutual thing. Like, both the team and the player decided that they were going to terminate the contract. They just have to go through waivers first. I wonder if that means he's got a gig lined up somewhere else. Is he planning on going overseas? Not sure, but Tyler Johnson, I think he has, I want to say it's 8 or 9 games played this season. He has like 2 assists. That's it.
Yeah, my guess is I doubt he's got something lined up somewhere else.
Probably not.
At this point, yeah.
And veterans in Buffalo could be nice for him. But yeah, unfortunately, he's just not the player he once was. Between age and wrist injuries, just isn't that guy anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If this is it from the NHL, he had a damn good career.
Tyler Johnson, former Tampa Bay Lightning. Did you hear the news out of Tampa as of like 20 minutes ago?
I don't think so.
30 minutes ago, sorry. Defenseman JJ Moser expected to miss 8 to 10 weeks with a lower body injury.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping it wasn't going to be Moser news. God damn it. That sucks. He's been so good for us. He's been unreal.
Does this mean Tampa's got to look at adding something on defense now? I think they kind of have to start exploring out there and seeing what's available.
We might have to look into it. Defense is one of the things that Tampa is actually the most deep on. We have about 7 NHL level defensemen. So now we're going to be running with Hedman, McDonough, Chernak, Perbix, Radish, and Lilleberg. So that works, but after that it gets obviously more thin. Declan Carlisle came up the other day. He played, I think, 2 games for us while Hedman was injured. He scored his first NHL goal against the Kraken coming up. So
I didn't know that.
We have some options. They've looked fine. They also haven't played a ton of games, so they didn't get enough minutes to really make those bad mistakes where you could tell if they're ready or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we went out looking for a defenseman now, but honestly, that top 6 is still pretty solid. I would still almost prefer if they looked for something on the 4th line.
Okay, fair enough.
I think the forwards is a bit more of a concern on the lower end, obviously.
Yeah, in terms of their depth, for sure. Yeah. Moving on, go over to some little bit of World Juniors news. Winnipeg Jets top prospect Braden Yeager was named the captain for Team Canada at the World Juniors. Tanner Molendyk of the Nashville Predators and Callum Ritchie, a prospect of the Colorado Avalanche, are named as the alternate captains. I don't believe any other country so far has named their captains yet. I've only heard as of today that's who Team Canada is rolling with. I think that's a great leadership group to roll with there. So props to them. But yeah, that's where Canada's at now with their team all finalized and everything ready to go as they kick off their first kind of pre-tournament game tonight.
Yeah, and it really just does sound like it really does sound like the Canadian World Juniors hockey leadership group, doesn't it? There's your captain Braden, there's your assistant Tanner, and your other assistant Callum. It's pretty on the nose. But I do actually really like the picks, so you know what, I think it's going to be good for him. Don't know about some of the picks on people who got on the team, but you know what, we'll see how they perform, right?
Yeah, no, I actually think this is like a perfect group for them to go with. Kind of going with the older guys on the team. Obviously, Yeager is one of the few that already has experience in the tournament. So, this is a good a good group that I think can lead Canada as they. Yeah, probably could have had a better team, but hey, here we are. Going forward, Dallas Stars. Jamie Benn recently became the Dallas Stars all-time games played leader at 1,143, passing Mike Modano. Mr. Star, Jamie Benn.
Mr. Dallas himself. Yeah, I mean, dude's been there forever, and he's had his ups and downs, but he's always performed relatively well. He's kind of had a bit of a resurgence the last year and a half, which was really nice to see, both him and Sagan. Like, it's nice that the team hasn't just, as soon as they get good with young guys, they're not like, how do we get rid of these boat anchor old guys? Like, they actually kind of revitalized their career, and that's been cool to see, as much as a lot of people don't like Jamie Benn. I'm not a massive fan of him, but
I'm a big Jamie Benn fan, and
is he the one that Red Wings fans hate? Is he the ones Red Wings fans especially hate?
I'm not even too sure.
Was he the one who cross-checked Dylan Larkin and and broke his neck the first time?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, it might be somebody else.
Yeah, no, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, like Jamie Benn, he's obviously he's got that that sick Art Ross trophy, one of the wildest Art Ross races I've ever witnessed. Longtime
Elite.
captain of the Stars, a lot of playoff success for the team. No Stanley Cups, but always a playoff team, always doing some damage, and now he caps it off by cementing himself currently, for the time being, probably not forever, as the all-time leader in games played. So congrats to Jamie Benn.
Yeah.
Do you want to do?
He's done a great job there. Just to touch on the other part, I was correct. That was Jamie Benn cross-checked Dylan Larkin, and that took Larkin out for the remainder of the 2021 NHL season when that happened.
Oh, okay, I don't remember that.
I was saying, because every time he does anything, there's people with people on Reddit with Red Wings flair always saying fuck Jamie Benn. So I knew there was something with that. But yeah, one of the only other pieces of news we have here, the St. Louis Blues trade Pierre-Olivier Joseph to the Pittsburgh Penguins for nothing for future considerations.
Yeah, the more I thought about this, it's actually really kind of classy by the Blues.
Is it?
Obviously it's tough because the Blues did have the two Joseph brothers, so trading one, kind of separating them obviously does suck. But you think about it, the Blues just brought in Cam Fowler, right? So, Joseph kind of becomes the odd man out. So the Blues are probably as opposed to putting him on waivers and having him end up anywhere, the Penguins wanted to bring him back. He already knows the organization, knows the boys there, knows the management. So they're like, hey, you know what? We don't even need anything back. We're going to lose him on waivers for nothing, probably. We don't want to just shove him down in the AHL. So send him back to a team he already knows, place is already comfortable, and I like it by the Blues. You know what? The more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? It's a good way of handling it. Actually, I give them respect for that, as opposed to having him go, to any team could have their pick of him or send him to the AHL, send him back to where he knows the team and everything. I think it was it was nice of him to do that for him. Probably sucks that splitting up the two bros, but it's better than potentially him getting claimed off waivers by Nashville or Buffalo, and then you got to go. Not only not play with your brother, but you just got to lose every night.
It's so weird that those are the teams now. We're not talking about it being Chicago or San Jose anymore.
Yeah. Who is last in the league? Who's currently 32?
I think it's Nashville, because Buffalo, I'm pretty sure, is bottom of the East.
Yeah, it's still Nashville.
Yeah. Nashville, pick it up. The Sabres are on an 11-game losing streak. Oh, brutal.
Yeah, I want to talk about Buffalo. I got something here for you, though.
Hit me with it.
This one, I'll have you guess, but it's pretty easy. I've got all 4 of the divisions, and I've got the combined record amongst those teams, and in that I've got their points percentage. So I'm gonna have you rank what you think is kind of the divisions based on strongest to weakest so far this season. So who's got the best kind of record amongst that division, then who's got second, third, and fourth.
Okay, so you're just asking me on who has the best record in each of the divisions?
No, with the division as a whole. You take all teams combined in each division.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
So do you think Pacific's the top division, Atlantic, Central, Metro, and then so on?
Okay.
Pretty easy. You only got 4 to work with, so.
Well, I think. Do you prefer if I go top to bottom or bottom to top?
Whichever way you want to go. Totally up to you.
I'm trying to think. There's a lot of bottoming out teams in a lot of the divisions. I am going to say the top is the Central Division.
The top, you think Central?
Yeah, the best.
Okay. Who do you think second?
The Atlantic Division.
Okay. So you got
Who's
Central Atlantic.
Who's
Third?
between those two. Pacific's been bad for a while, but the Metro's got, I mean, the Rangers aren't that bad, but they are, I think they're below by 500 at this point. They got a couple other teams. I'm going to say 3 is the Metro and 4 is the Pacific.
You went 0 for 4.
Dang. Was it Atlantic first, then Central?
No.
Oh, let's hear it. It's
In
so hard to
first
do
place,
with that many teams.
For points percentage is the Metro Division.
The Metro's first.
0.559. In second, we have the Pacific. 0.556. In third, the Central Division. 0.549. And in last place, the division we all thought was going to be the toughest, the top division in the NHL, the Atlantic, with a 0.538. So the Atlantic we thought was going to be powerhouses, but they are.
Yeah, it's been rough. We've
not so far this season, at least. Obviously, could turn around, but.
I was going to say, right now, every single team in the Atlantic Division is on a winning streak, except the Sabres, who are obviously on their 11-game losing streak. It's not looking good for them.
Yeah, they're really, like, Boston, good team. Florida, Tampa, Toronto, all good teams. Ottawa, right there in the playoff hunt. It really gets weighed down by how bad Montreal, Detroit, and Buffalo have been.
Yeah.
Worth noting, Pacific Division has the least amount of regulation losses amongst
I was going to say,
divisions.
It kind of looks
and that's with San Jose and Anaheim in there as well. Two of the bottom feeders amongst the league.
I do wonder how different it would be just going off of like wins and losses and not taking the overtime losses into consideration for point percentage.
Metro and Central currently tied with 129 wins each. Pacific 124, Atlantic 123.
Oh, those are real close. Because
it's also tough because there is some teams that have played like 34 games, some teams that have played 30, so they're kind of a little bit skewed. That's kind of why I just went off.
It's all over the place
amongst their games played, but
the Central has. Utah has already got 5 overtime losses. The Preds have 6, but then they also have the Stars and the Avs, who both have 0. So it's all over the place. 6 for the Canucks, 6 for the Flames, 5 for the Sharks in the Pacific. Pretty most of them have 2 or 3 in the Atlantic.
Yeah,
dude. Tampa is. I mean, so we played 4 less games. But we're a point behind the Bruins in the standings, despite us having a plus 32 goal differential, and they have a minus 18. Why does Boston do what it does?
Yeah.
I swear they could just keep losing games, and they're just stapled to a playoff spot. It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
These piece of shit over there. The Devils on a 3-game win streak. They are starting to overtake the Metro. They finally passed the Capitals. They've played 3 more games, so the Caps are probably going to make it up again. But they're working on it
slowly. Yeah. Do we have anything else in here?
I have one more thing
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Would like to bring up here.
You see what happened to, I believe it was Mason Marchment last night?
I did not.
I'm pretty sure it was Mason Marchment. There was a scrum, and he was like, kind of got banged up a little bit. Was slowly struggling to get up, and doing the classic hockey player thing. You're on one knee, all your weight on your stick as you kind of push yourself back up. As he was doing that, his stick broke, and he fell back down to the ice.
Oh,
Tough scene. It's tough to watch that.
dude. I've never seen that happen. Genuinely, though, I've thought before, like, how does this not happen way more often? Some of those guys, you'll see them get up, and that thing is bending under their weight. They're putting all 200 plus pounds onto that stick, and I'm like, how can they put all their weight on it and then push themselves to stand up? Like,
then they take a little flip shot, and the stick like shatters into a million different pieces.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder, because they put all their weight on it before, weakening it up. The one thing I did want to look up here, and I actually do have something, we'll talk about Minnesota in a second here. But I did want to quickly search up who the next couple opponents are for the Buffalo Sabres, because we got to start watching this losing streak, and we got to see who's going to beat it. They're not going to go on a 60-game losing streak. They're going to win at some point.
Do we know that? We don't know that.
I know that. I can see into the future.
They realistically could just lose out the rest of the year.
No, because I'm pretty sure they have games left against Nashville.
True. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It's the most hockey thing of all time. Who are they playing tomorrow? The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh boy.
The Toronto Maple Leafs. 4 days ago, the Leafs beat them 5-3. It's close. 2 days later, they get destroyed 6-1 against the Canadiens. So the Leafs have already beat them recently. Then the Sabres got destroyed by the bottom team in the division that the Leafs are leading. Wouldn't it be the most Leafs thing ever to go out there and get beat by the Sabres now tomorrow?
And not even lose like a 5-1 loss for Toronto or something.
Oh yeah, they're not losing a close game. They're not going to have the goalie pulled at the end.
Yeah, like they're just going to get stuffed. I don't know. Really, this Buffalo team looks so fucking lifeless. Like they really do. Like it would be the most Toronto thing ever for them to lose. And like it genuinely be funny. And more than anything, it is in Buffalo. So Buffalo is probably going to be more Toronto fans there, honestly, than Buffalo fans.
Dude, the weirdest thing is the Sabres don't have an issue with attendance. That's insane.
I don't think they really ever have, though. Like Buffalo is a huge. They've got a diehard, passionate fan base, and I got to give them a lot of respect for, everything with the Buffalo Bills. There, like, thankfully the Bills are good now. Probably, one of the top. Well, they are one of the top teams in the Super Bowl. One of my personal favorite to win. And the Sabres, like, just so many years of just a failing franchise, and the fans stick around, the fans support them. So I got to give them respect for that, for sticking by their team despite the team having really no direction right now. Yeah. And they haven't in the last 12 years at least.
Yeah. So for my prediction for that game tomorrow on the 20th, Sabres Leafs, I'm going to say that the Leafs offense shows up. I'm going to say they get 4 goals, but I'm going to say the Sabres put up like 6.
I could maybe see that. Depends on who Toronto's starting tomorrow.
Well, it's not Stellaris, unfortunately.
It could be Joseph Woll, but they did just recall Matt Murray from the AHL. So if they start Matt Murray, Buffalo probably wins. I'm going to go a little bit different from you. I think they lose against Toronto tomorrow. But right after the game, Buffalo has to get on a flight, and they're off to Boston to play there the following day on the Saturday.
You think they beat the Bruins?
I think they lose to Toronto. I think they get on a flight, they fly out to Boston. Very next day, they play Boston in Boston. I think Buffalo wins that one.
Hey,
I think the second of a back-to-back. I
like your prediction even better.
Going on the road after just losing another tough one at home. I think that's... And then next game they play the Islanders. I think they probably lose to the Islanders.
Yeah.
I think they win one game, and then it's back down into the trenches. You're going right back to loser town.
As soon as they win, vibes are at an all-time high. When they win a game, they win a minimum of 3 games in a row.
And I would love that. I really just want. Like, does Buffalo make the playoffs? No.
Bruins, Islanders.
Would like to see
Blackhawks?
Buffalo go on a little bit of a heater.
I could see them beating those 3.
Yeah, but I could also see them beating Montreal. They got dunked on.
Well, not with hat-trick Laine on the power play.
Okay, first, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Buffalo's power play or pound to kill is embarrassing. I actually had such a. If Patrick Laine wasn't ripping him, I don't think I would have watched when Montreal got a power play, because watching Buffalo have no structure. You've got these first overall picks. You've got these elite, defensemen, these great defensive forwards. They don't know how to kill a penalty. Like, you've got a Montreal player in the corner with the puck. You've got all 4 Buffalo guys going in the corner like, oh, we're coming to get you. We're gonna 4-on-1 mug you. And then Patrick Laine's standing there and I could have taken a knee and just sat there waiting. And Buffalo's like, yeah, we don't need to worry about Patrick Laine. It's not like he can blast home 3 power play goals in one game. Oh, wait, he can.
Oh, fuck, shit, he does?
Like, you know what? If I'm any team, if I'm playing Buffalo, I'm going out there, I'm diving at everything. Stick comes anywhere near me, I'm holding my face. You get 5 power plays against Buffalo. You're guaranteed 4 goals, probably.
Oh, you don't know how the politics work. You see, that's not what you do it. That makes the refs upset. What you got to do is you go out there, you slash a guy in the ankles, you take the penalty, you kill it off, and now you're owed the next one. Now everybody's happy and you get a power play.
Depending on the refs you have, yeah.
I don't think there's a ref who's refed an NHL game who doesn't game manage at least some. It's just built into the game at this point.
No. So some refs, yeah, but like I've seen games where teams have got 5 power plays in a row.
Well, yeah, they don't always come out in the wash, but generally on the season they do. And they don't, and it's just always been that way, to the point where like nobody's too upset about it, because that's kind of, not only is it how it's been, but also teams have built around that a bit. So it's not as much of a factor on who wins as it would be if, like, they just started doing it.
No. It matters if your penalty kill is as bad as Buffalo's.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Ovechkin, even if he's not healthy, by the time Washington plays Buffalo, he should just suit up just to go out there for power plays. Like, he could go out there 30 seconds. He could have 3 power play goals and be like, all right, I got to take a couple. I'm not ready to come back just yet. Give me a couple more weeks, and then he can return. Because man, that's what I'm going with. I think they get not only lose to Toronto, they lose to Matt Murray in Toronto, but then they go on to beat the Bruins.
That's bold. TD Garden's pretty hard to win in, but I am so here for it. I'm a certified Bruins hater.
I wouldn't say I'm a Bruins hater. I want to be a Buffalo believer, but there's really not much to believe in with this team.
So obviously they're doing very bad. I'm not taking that away from them, I guess, but they are missing Rasmus Dahlin. Clearly,
he's back tonight. He's back.
Clearly, their best player. Okay.
Yeah.
So he is coming back, but they have gone on this 11-game losing streak without him. You got to imagine that's a big part of it. They have had some close games, 3-2 against the Rangers, 6-5 against the Red Wings, 3-2 against the Jets, 5-4 against the Avs, like 4-3 against the Canucks. They've had a lot of close games. If they have their best player in those games, they probably win one of them, right?
In normal circumstances, I would say yes. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not disagreeing. Dahlin is by far their best player, 100%.
Captain.
But it's like, fuck, Dahlin goes down and you still have Owen Power, first overall pick, and Bowen Byram, former 4th overall pick and a great offensive defenseman. You're telling me neither one of them can step up? Like,
oh yeah, no,
that's bad.
It's abysmal in Buffalo.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's nobody on that team can fill Darling's shoes.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've got 2 great defensemen there that neither one of them could even step up and kind of even somewhat fill the void of Darling being gone, is kind of tough. Like that's rough for Buffalo.
That is bad. And you know,
I
don't think it would be.
He's established now. I would say.
That is true.
Like, he's still a younger player, but he's an established guy in the league.
Yeah,
I know in power. I mean, fuck, he's just a big monster. Like,
yeah,
you may be young, but you're a monster out there. Like, figure it out. Buffalo, whole team, figure it out. Please.
I don't really think it would have been that different. Maybe they win 2 of those games or something. So, like, we're talking about, you know, a 4-game and a 5-game losing streak instead of an 11-game losing streak. But
that's better at least.
But, you know, yeah, I think it would certainly change the narrative around the team. They'd still be very bad, but obviously you got that big 11 losing streak hanging over you now, and every single game they are in their heads about it. So,
yeah,
you know what? I do wonder, you know, versus they're playing the Canadiens, they play the Bruins. Are they just sitting there going, fuck, we just got to get a win, okay? We're on this losing streak. We just have to get a win. With the Leafs, is it that same mentality? That's it? Or are they sitting there going, guys, it's the Leafs. They could give us this win. They could totally give us this win. They're the team that fucks up. Like, we're the team that fucks up on the regular. They're the ones who do it spectacularly. Like, I wonder if they get excited about the Leafs games instead of going, oh shit, that's the team that is at the top of the Atlantic. We're going to get pummeled. Like, are they excited for this, or are they like, crap, that's a good team?
Yeah.
I genuinely have no idea.
Yeah, I got no clue.
Yeah. A Toronto team that is very different than what we've seen in the past several years. Really good defensive team. Goal scoring is taken a step back. They are playing Craig Berube hockey, and they're at the top of the division for it.
Yeah.
It's
exactly what they needed. You know, I think Craig Berube he's just exactly the type of coach they needed. And, you know, again, it makes Toronto look more like a contender. It really does. Just having that different coach, that different mindset. It's the same way as how, you know, I think I wouldn't take Toronto seriously if Sheldon Keefe was there. But I'm taking New Jersey serious with Sheldon Keefe there because I think Sheldon Keefe is kind of exactly what New Jersey needed.
Yeah.
So it's just different coaches, different perspectives. And I think, you know, for the respective teams, I think it's working wonders. Not Buffalo and their new hiring, but you know what? Not every team can be winners, right?
No, that was a rough hiring.
Minnesota, you wanted to have some Minnesota talk.
Yeah, not a ton to say on it other than just like, I hope this team could keep it going the way that they have through all their injuries, because, you know, they're 6-4-0 in their last 10, so respectable, pretty good. It's above 500, but at the moment they have Joel Eriksson Ek is on IR, Jacob Middleton is on IR, Jakob Trenin is on day-to-day, Philip Gustafsson, one of the candidates for the Vezina at the moment, one of the leaders, is day-to-day. They also, I think earlier today, Brock Faber was getting evaluated. I don't think they've labeled him as anything, but he went to the hospital after getting hit in the throat last night with a shot. So I can't imagine he's going to be in their next game. Like, they are losing.
And Zuccarello's out as well, isn't he?
I think still out. I think he recently came back, but he had been out for a long time. I think he's back in now.
Okay, so that's nice. I'm back. Yeah, it's it's a tough. It's tough. Injuries are a part of the game, and that's kind of the one area where it kind of hurts Minnesota, especially just because we've talked in length before about their very limited cap space because of a lot of the dead cap space currently for this season because of the Suter Parise buyouts. So, if you've got lots of guys going down injured, you don't have that luxury of having, as much, depth pieces as other teams may have because again, you're in a tough cap situation. So thankfully they have given themselves quite a bit of a buffer, being up near the top of it. If you lose a couple games here and there, you're still going to be okay. Whereas, if you were a team just outside the wild card race, you might not be able to afford, a couple losses piling up here and there.
Yeah, and that depth is starting to show with all the injuries. Their fourth line. Who's on their fourth line? Devin Shore, Brendan Gaunce, and Marat Kuznetsov.
I don't even hate that actually. I thought it was actually gonna be worse than that.
Oh, have you heard of any of those three guys? Because I hadn't.
The one I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. Former first round pick, still a young player.
Okay.
Devin Shore, that's fine. He's a depth player. He's a fill in there. Gaunce, he plays with a little bit of grit, a little bit of passion. Again, kind of a depth guy. Like
is he a regular NHL player? Because he doesn't even have a number on Daily Faceoff. It just has the Minnesota Wild logo.
Oh, so he might have been just a recent call up.
I imagine.
Yeah, he's not a regular. Like he's kind of bounced around from team to team, but he's always kind of been that top guy in the AHL or kind of that 13, 14 forward that come in for injuries. Like I thought you were going to just start naming off the most random, obscure guys.
Honestly, that's what I thought I was doing.
No, I've actually heard of that entire line.
Okay, well then that bodes well for them.
And one is a young former first round pick. So
yeah, I mean with a last name like that, I'm going to assume he's Russian.
Yeah, I'm not going to try pronouncing that.
Gotta imagine it's pretty damn cool playing with a guy like Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah,
he single-handedly turned that franchise around, man, and you love to see it. God, this team was like Buffalo, but without the promise of this first round pick might change things. Like they just had no direction for a decade. It's really nice to see them finally, having some success over there.
What do you give him July 1st when he's eligible for an extension?
A blank check.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if he says 14 mil a season, fucking thank you for your service. Like, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You just do it.
Like,
what do you do? Yeah. What we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up here with Colorado. Did you have something more to say on Kaprizov there quickly?
No, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, you could, if he's willing to, haggle with money a bit at all, like, try and get it down and be like, hey, you're worth this money, yes, but can we get an extra an extra $500K for cap reasons? But like that's all you can do. You can't be.
And if he's not willing to budge, it's like, you know what, no problem, man. We'll give you an extra $250K or just because we asked, even.
Yeah, like exactly, like
you don't want to piss him off. Colorado, though, they have Mikko Rantanen having yet another phenomenal season. Currently still without an extension and is a UFA as of July 1st. If you are Colorado, trade deadline comes around. You still don't have an extension signed. Do you just ride out the season, try and go another playoff run, hope you get him signed, or do you just say we gotta move him?
I don't think there's a world where they move him. I think this team really thinks they can win another cup, and maybe they can. Like, I would not be insanely shocked. But that is a lot of value to lose to free agency for nothing. Like
you're fucking. I don't care if you have McKinnon, Makar. You're cooked if you lose him for nothing. If he walks, Like you're not a contender in that Central Division anymore. You're probably still a playoff team, but McKinnon, Makar single-handedly can't win you a cup.
Yeah.
I think you have to. I think, if you get around trade deadline time and he still doesn't have it, I think if you're Joe Sakic, you bring Rantanen if you want to bring his agent, lock yourselves in a room and say, none of us are even leaving. We'll piss on the floor, have a shit bucket in the corner, and be like, we ain't leaving until we've got a deal signed.
Yeah. Like,
and
honestly,
if there's no deal signed and you walk out of that room, expect to be traded. Go home and start packing your things.
Yeah.
Like you can not, like, Rantanen is, there was debates about it. I think now there's no doubt he's a top 10 player.
Yeah.
And if you lose that to free agency for nothing, like, just start asking McKinnon, hey, where do you want to go? Hey, Makar, you want to go back home to Calgary? And then you just start a rebuild. Like, realistically, if you lose Rantanen for nothing, you got a cup at least. And just start over.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're going to extend him. I think they
I don't know if this is true. I heard they were pretty close to getting Rantanen signed in the offseason. Around like an 8-year, 12.5, so just a little bit under McKinnon and his 12.6, I believe. Again, I don't know if this is true. It's just what I've heard. But apparently it all kind of got put to a stop once Draisaitl signed his 8-year, $14 million.
Why shouldn't it? Rantanen's
I agree.
Comparable to Draisaitl. I would say Draisaitl's probably better, but
I would say Draisaitl's better, but I think it's a lot closer than people are willing to admit.
And not only that, Draisaitl is getting paid $14 million to stay playing with Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Like, and you can say Rantanen's would be getting paid to stay and play with Makar and McKinnon, but they're also not McDavid.
Yeah.
I think he's at least got to get comparable money. And that's also signing an extension. That's not getting money on the free market. If he goes out to whatever other team, they're going to be giving him probably more than 14.
Yeah, I don't know how many teams would have that amount of. Actually, there's probably there's quite a few teams that actually, if they knew he was hitting for agency, they would open up the room to take a run at him.
Yeah,
he would get at least 14 on the open market. He would get at least 14 on the open market. Yeah. So, like, again, if I'm Colorado, like, if he wants 14, all right, I would give him 14. Honestly, I think at this point.
Yeah, I mean, are you better as a team with that cap space and no Rantanen, or 14 mil less cap space and Mikko Rantanen? You're probably better having the good player. Like,
yeah, and not only that, like, Rantanen, we already know he can dominate when he's on the wing with McKinnon, no problem. But Rantanen shown he can play center. Rantanen can play on a separate line from McKinnon. He can still carry a line and put up numbers. Like, he's kind of proven that, he'll dominate with McKinnon no matter what, but he's proven that, hey, I can do it on my own as well.
200-point seasons in a row, a 50-goal scorer. Like, yeah.
He's going to hit 50 again this year as well.
He's already at 18. Yeah. Like, dude's unreal, and he will get paid no matter where he goes. I will say, if they gave him 14 mil for 8 years, that could be a rough contract at the end. Because I don't know how well Rantanen's his game is going to age, but that would take him till he's 37. Yeah, I mean, 35, 36, 37.
Different from Draisaitl. Like, Draisaitl's 8-year kicks in next, July 1st.
It's not enough to not do it.
Actually, he'll be the same. It'll be about the same, no?
Yeah.
Because wait, how old's Rantanen?
He is 28 right now.
Oh, you're right, because Draisaitl was 2014 draft, not 2013. Yeah, yeah. So basically, same age. So yeah, they basically on the same kind of timeline.
Yeah. Which, I mean, same thing for Draisaitl's, but obviously you still sign
But
him.
I mean, in 8 years, like Colorado's window's probably kind of closed. I think by then, like your window is
Probably.
basically how much you're getting out of McKinnon, Makar, and Rantanen while they're in their prime, right?
I guess. I mean, some guys hit their prime at 30. Like when all is said and done, we might right now be watching Makar's 8th best season.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying like by
Which is,
like in the last year of
which is just an
Rantanen's
insane
deal,
thought. Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like in the last year of Rantanen's deal or the second last year, like he's going to be 30, 36, 37. McKinnon's going to be up there at 38.
yeah.
Makar probably still, you know, at that point would have a shit ton of trade value. You could still get a haul back to start your rebuild from him. But yeah, you know, if Rantanen wants 8x14, I'd be like, all right, yeah, done deal.
McKinnon and Makar really seem like guys that'll probably end up retiring with the Avs. I could see Rantanen getting moved. I don't think they'd want to, but I could see a situation where they're like, if the right deal's there, they need the cap space, you know, all the reasons. I could see it happening. You know,
Yeah, Makar, I could see Makar
not
going somewhere else near
not
the
every
tail
elite
end.
player.
Because
It really,
I think Makar's going to be in that situation where, because he's so much younger, that like, you know, when McKinnon and Rantanen are kind of like, you know, done or at the tail end, it's like Makar could still have quite a few good years left. So it's like maybe not one of those things where Makar's like, hey, I want to leave. But one of those things where Colorado's like, hey, you know, if you want to stay here and you know just ride it out with us, you know, we're all for it. You've been a warrior for us, or they. But it's also like, hey, if you want the opportunity to, you know, go play
St.
some
Clair.
meaningful hockey, you know, for the end of your career and go have a chance to win a couple more cups or something, like we're more than willing to send you somewhere and get pieces back to kind of kickstart our rebuild a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But I don't see a world where Makar McKinnon's like, oh, get me out of here. I don't want to be here type thing. I think they'd all be fine.
Well, you know what? Actually, I could see it with McKinnon if the team, you know, takes a nosedive and isn't performing well, and he's
I don't think he would ask out though.
He's a really competitive guy. Like if for like 3 years in a row they are just like having like what the Rangers are doing right now, if they did that for like several years, yeah. I mean,
yeah, but McKinnon kind of he's like, you know, he gets compared to Crosby a lot, but like he reminds me a lot of Crosby, where, you know, even if Collar kind of took a little bit of a dive, he'd be like, fuck, I want to figure it out here. Like let's turn this shit around and get it going type of thing, not jumping ship. But again, I guess if like the, you know, it's kind of right there that like the writing's on the wall that, you know, Colorado's going towards a rebuild. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, it would be like guys are underperforming, and then like, you know, it's like a bad locker room situation kind of thing. You know, they've gone through some coaches, like he's a guy who can definitely handle adversity. It would have to be a bad situation.
Yeah, things would have to go from bad to worse.
But
what about Toronto with like Marner? That one's tough because I think Marner's got a full no move. So like even if you don't have him signed by the deadline, you can't move him. That one could end up being tough for Toronto, maybe. I think Marner probably does end up re-sign though, because like why wouldn't he want to stay with Toronto, right? Like he's from there, and
I think he wants to stay. I think he
yeah.
just also wants to get paid what he's worth, and I don't. Are they going to do it? I guess they've done it every other time.
Yeah, they always find a way to, but like what is Marner worth?
Let me just bring up his stats here. One Mitch Marner.
Like, would Marner be happy with a 8x12.5?
97 and 72,
I think so.
99 and 80, 85 and 67. This year, 52 and 32, although he's scoring more goals than normal.
Contract year.
Contract year.
Contract year always brings the best out of players.
Great defensive forward, one of the best defensive wingers in the league. Yeah, I mean, if I'm him, I'm not taking less than 12 anywhere.
Do you think he would be happy with the 12.5 though for 8 years?
12.5 by 8?
Would that be enough for him to be like, yeah, I think
that's enough. I think that's enough.
That's kind of what I think. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think could he get a little more from another team? Maybe, probably. But
oh yeah,
you know what? Sign that. He's right in his prime at 27 years old. It's his childhood team. He's playing with a generational goal scorer. I think that's plenty of dollars to get it done.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and if Marner says no, I want more, then I'm like, well, fuck. Can you really ask for much more? I guess. I mean, if he ends up going the pace he's on, what's that for? Like 100 and fuck. If he goes up, he could if he keeps going and hits 120 points,
especially with missing Matthews for the first bit of the season, he had to drive the line himself. He had to beat the guy. Like,
I think 12.5 would be enough to get done. If it says no, I think I'd be like, hey, 13, and then that's good.
He's on a pace for 108 points over 82 games.
108. Oh, okay.
Over 82 games.
That'd be his first 100+ season, right?
Yeah, he's had a 94-point season, a 97, and a 99.
Yeah, the 99. Yeah.
Last year he had 85 and 69, so he probably would have hit it if he played all the games.
Definitely would have.
He's in that spot. There's always some guy that can't hit 100. You know, for a while it was McKinnon. Now it's Marner.
Yeah. Jack Hughes.
Yeah, Jack Hughes. He's young enough, I'd say, that
he'll get there
yet. But I'm kind of surprised he hasn't hit it, to be honest. So
I think he was on pace 1 year, wasn't he? Maybe not.
I think so. I think he's had the pace to do it. I think even last year he was one of the leaders for the frickin' Hart Trophy before.
No, it wasn't last year. The year before, yeah, 99 points in 78 games.
Yeah.
Last year, 74 and 62.
74 and 62.
Probably right around that 95 to 100 mark. Yeah,
and he was at a much higher scoring pace before he got injured.
Yeah.
He hit like 35 points in like 17 games or something. Like he was like at almost 2. He was like around 2 points per game when he got injured.
Yeah.
Was well under a point per game after that. It's tough. But yeah, I think 12.5 would be fair for Marner. He probably gets a full no move with that.
Yeah.
Probably don't have to worry about that much, honestly. And you know what? His is a little bit nicer than some of the other guys, like the Draisaitl and the Rantons we were talking about. Mm-hmm. Because he is 27. So if he signs that 8 years, you know, it ends at, what is that, 35, 34?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, still gets a little older, but it's better than, you know, 38, 37, 36.
Yeah.
Not that many GMs are worried about. Most GMs figure they're probably not going to be with that team in 8 years. I don't think they care about the end of the contracts.
Yeah, no. I believe that does wrap up everything here. I'm going to hit you with one final question.
All right.
Who, and then this will be it. We'll wrap it up here before we get ready for a big Christmas Eve episode for next week for everyone. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff to do for that one that we will have planned. My question for you, who in your opinion is I'm trying to think of a good way to word this. Who's an underrated player, or like not talked about enough in the league, but is like a superstar? Like who is like a superstar in this league that doesn't get the credit they deserve? They're kind of overlooked, despite very clearly being one of the better players in the game.
That is a very good question.
Because I have a very clear answer for me, but I want to hear what yours is to see if we're on the same page.
Okay, so a couple players immediately pop into my head. One of the first ones I thought of right away was Mackenzie Weegar on the Flames. I definitely think he's at the point where he is an elite defenseman, and he doesn't get talked about enough. God, you could make an argument for a couple of guys in Carolina, honestly. You know, Marty Necas, Seth Jarvis, Svechnikov. They're all kind of borderline cases, but it makes sense. Zach Werenski is another huge one. I feel like a lot of defensemen will fit this bill, but Werenski does not get talked about like a top even 10 defenseman. At this point, he's solidified in that top 10 for me. And like, I don't know if I consistently year in, year out put him in that top 5, but he's knocking on the door. He's really good. It's funny because some of these guys, like, do they get league-wide recognition? No. Do they get a lot from their fan base? Yes. You know.
I'm more so talking about like league-wide, not from their respective fan bases. Yeah.
I mean like a Rupe Hintz. I feel like not a lot of people talk about him a ton.
See, I'm thinking bigger.
You're thinking about bigger names.
Oh yeah.
Like Kaprizov. I mean, Kaprizov. No, but close. This year, but
close. About him. Close.
Zuccarello.
Not same team wise, but when you think of Kaprizov, okay. Like very close. No. Keep going.
Kucherov.
There you go.
That
is my answer.
I was actively avoiding saying Tampa players because I know I talk about them way too much.
And that's why I was like, fuck, maybe somehow I'll actually be able to get you to. My pick is Kucherov, actually.
My first answer was going to be Hagel, and then I was like, I'm not going to say a Tampa player. I'm going to go with
Kucherov, in my opinion, I think now is top 3 player in the league. I think, McDavid's obviously still one, and then like you've got McKinnon and Kucherov. I think that's your top 3, and still obviously Tampa fans are always going to talk about Kucherov because like he's one of the most talented players we've ever seen. But like around the league, it's like it's always talking about Kaprizov's in the mix there now, and Matthews, Draisaitl, Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes, all deservedly so. Like all deserve to be respected and talked about. But it's like,
yeah,
I just feel like Kucherov, like you hardly hear anything about him, and he quietly goes out there and puts up insane numbers, not only offensively but even kind of defensively.
The last 2 years, he's really upped his defensive game.
It doesn't get talked about. Yeah, it doesn't get talked about like really at all. And I'm sitting there like watching, like he's consistently one of the top point getters time after time. Probably still should have been in my opinion at least, and I know in years, should have been the Hart Trophy winner last year.
Yeah,
and it's just like, man, what does this guy have to do to get talked about more? Like he quietly goes out there and just.
He had a 6-point night against the Flames. I feel like there would have been headlines way more if McKinnon put that up or Matthews put that up, right?
Yeah,
but like
I didn't see like hardly anything about it. I really didn't.
Like we don't see a ton of 6-point nights. So like
not only that, on top of the fact that like he didn't score the goal. He got I don't even know a goal, but like that back check to steal the puck, and then he gets that assist on the goal. I think Gensel scored the goal, maybe.
There was at least one where that one I was laughing really hard in my seat because I got to be at that game, and he like comes and back checks. He like smacks the guy's stick, takes the puck, and I'm sitting there yelling Selke because I mean that's just kind of hilarious because Kucherov, but like he just goes down, makes a nice sauce pass, gets the assist. I was like, he created that play with a good defensive play, gets the primary assist. Like it was an absolute beauty. Like yeah, he really is so insanely talented, and I'm loving that Gensel's finally starting to gel more on that top line. Like, he was obviously elite before, but like he's actually starting to like work with them now.
It's starting, yeah. It's now like the chemistry is starting to go and things are starting to click. And this is not me saying like, oh, Nikita Kucherov's an underrated player. Like we all know he's one of the best in the league. It's just when you think of all like the superstars, like the best players in the league, he gets overshadowed by like everyone else.
I think there's
and
a
I
lot
just
of
think
people,
it's so bizarre.
There's a lot of people that are starting to move away from the word underrated, and I don't know if people have really settled on a new term, but like I don't know, underrepresented, under talked about. Like there's a lot of guys like that where it's like I think people know how good Kucherov is. They just don't talk about him near the same level as other elite players. And
exactly. Overlooked?
Yeah.
Is that maybe the right word? Overlooked?
Yeah, overlooked. Yeah. That makes sense.
Because I mean, he is such a special talent, and yeah, I mean, maybe it's just you can't even say it's a personality thing because like he's just going out there and just dominating. Like, who cares about what he's behind the scenes? Just on the ice, incredible player, and
you're gonna ignore that because he didn't try in the fucking deking competition in the All-Star game last year. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like just in terms of just playing actual NHL games, why not? It's just like, man, more people should be talking about him and how he just goes out there and can dominate an entire game, and people like just don't even pay attention to it. But anyone else does it, and it's major news. It's like, come on, let's give guys credit where credit's due and give them their flowers. So that's my pick. But that will wrap up everything for this episode.
Probably one of the best playoff performers of all time to have not so far won a Conn Smythe.
Yeah,
I would agree. Insane. 3 postseasons in a row with 30 plus points, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he is a very special.
That's be a pro numbers.
Yeah.
Right. But thank you for indulging my glaze or bringing it up.
Yeah, not a problem. It's that one was well deserved. So that will wrap up everything we have for this episode. We hope all of you enjoyed this one. Again, if you want to join in on any of the hockey talk, or if you want to listen to this over on YouTube, you are able to do so. The links to all of our socials are down in the description for every episode across all platforms. Come those follow, come say hi, come talk hockey. As you know, by the end of today, there could be lots of craziness going on around the league to talk about. So you guys know where to find us if you want to do that. Braden, as always, one final thought before we get out of here to wrap up the week.
Buffalo Sabres. They're playing against Toronto and they're playing against Boston. I don't think they get up to a 13-game losing streak. I think they're going to win at least one of those games.
They got to win at least one. They do, and we will be keeping a close eye on them. But that does wrap up everything. Hope you guys enjoyed once again. And we will be back next week on Tuesday when we have a fun little Christmas episode planned. So we'll see you guys out on the ice then.